How long does it take us to create a virtual tour? Well, there's two elements to this. There's a time on site that maybe people are interested in, and the actual taking of the tour is pretty quick and easy. We do it day in, day out. I know exactly what I'm doing. There is no lighting to set up because we need to get the everything has to seam together, stitch together, and we can't do that if we're using floodlights and things. So there's no option for lighting, so that makes it a lot easier than still photography. So we're taking 6 pictures around on the tripod, as I've explained in a previous video, and taking a shot of the ceiling. That is our basic tour, and 90% of what we do, that's the procedure, and that typically takes between 10 and 20 minutes is all it would be. If we were coming into a room, it's all prepped and ready to go. Certainly if it were a show home or somewhere, with very little input from me in terms of staging the place, then that would be the time. If however we came to site and decided it really needed a bit more input, then I'm not going to shoot it if I think we could have done better. I certainly don't want you looking at it afterwards saying, I wish we'd moved those boxes, or I didn't realise those cables would be in view. I would tell you all that, and got a very good eye for what is being seen. So it may take a bit longer to do. I would think typically if you allowed 2 hours to get through 6 tours, for instance, that would give us plenty of time. Now if you were doing an advanced tour, maybe you've got a very nice floor, it's a historic house, maybe it's a small space and we don't want that restriction of what the tripod covers at the bottom, then that can take double the time. We actually need to bring in a boom arm. We don't just Photoshop that space at the bottom and try and tidy it up. We would bring in a boom arm. We would remove the tripod and place the camera on the boom, so you're actually looking down and getting a 8th photo looking at the floor. And that can take quite a bit of time to do, especially in a small space. So maybe allowing half as much again. So if I'm saying 2 hours to do 6 tours, maybe you're looking really at 3 hours. But we'll have this conversation before we book anything anyway. Now when I come back from site, that's where the real work starts for me. The photography is the fun part, it's the easy part in many respects, and as long as I get that right, we move then on to, I should say, well, as I get that right, I've never really got that wrong. Only once did we have a mistake and I had to go back free of charge, but that's not bad in 10 years. So we then move on from that. I come back into the studio and I work in here at this at my Mac, and it's a case of pulling in those photos, correcting them for the color if we need to, and then they go into a Stitcher program. And what that is doing is we're only using the inner third of each of those images because they're shot with a fisheye lens, so there's an overlap, and it might be that, for instance, a corner of this computer screen will then be in 2 images, and control points in both of them will help the software just stretch out and warp that fisheye image. So that happens. Partly automatic, but I'm never happy with the automatic results, so I always go in manually and add more control points so that you're not seeing seams and joints afterwards. We put that together, and then at its most basic form it'll have thumbnails on the tour at the end of it, so you can jump from one scene to the next. If we're creating custom maps, it's how long is a piece of string really. We try and take your website design and work from that so that it all looks very corporate. But we would send proofs to you and say, what do you think to this? Maybe we're using a floor plan, maybe we're using a site map, an aerial photo, and we'll drop little hotspots on so you can jump in at different points. And hotspots then that will take you through so you can go from room to room. All of this can take a long time, and certainly some back and forwards as you say to me, no, that room links to this one, and let's make sure we get it all spot on. So yeah, the overall time, depending on the size of the project, could be a month. We just need to, I would speak to you in advance and spell all this out. If you've got definite time restrictions, we can turn things around very quickly. I have been known to work through the night when I've had to, but I don't like to advertise that. And yeah, speak to us. Hopefully that's answered some of your questions. Sorry if I went on a bit.